Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bourbon Bites Whiskey Reviews with a Gaming Twist. I am Clifton, and welcome to another Thursday night stream. We have a very, very special guest joining us here tonight. So excited to have her on. First, I want to give a couple shout outs to our mod team who is here in the chat. Already, you guys have been chatting up a storm. I was trying to keep up with it. I tried to pull it open my phone, then I realized, oh, I'm not live yet, so it doesn't show up yet. So I can't see it on my phone. Wait, hold on. Here we go. I was going to pull up the chat so I can keep track of you guys. There we go. All right, so a couple shout outs to our mods here. I see Brandon Wees. What's up, Brandon? Good to see you, man. Emily Chambers. Donnie the Linux Cat. How you doing tonight, Donnie? And I think that's it. I'm seeing a few Bite Club members. If you guys don't know, Bite Club is my new YouTube membership program. So I see Sugar Kitty. Thanks for being a part of the Bite Club. I think that's all that's here tonight that's in the Bite Club. But if you're not yet joined, you can join tonight. Unfortunately, not on iPhone because YouTube. But if you can join from your web browser if you're interested for $1.99 a month to become a member of the Bite Club. But yeah, like I said, we have a very special guest tonight. So let me go ahead and bring her on. Please welcome founder of Black Bourbon Society, Samara Davis. Samara, thank you so much for joining. Oh, I think you're muted. Let me see if I can. Okay, I am muted yet. I think we're good now.
Hi, sorry, my kids were yelling in the background. So
you're fine. You're fine.
But, thanks for having me. Glad
of course, and thank you for joining so late. I know you said you're in Atlanta right now, so I know my streams are always difficult for people on the East Coast. But I appreciate you so much coming on and joining me this evening.
Yay, I'm here.
Well, you guys have been super busy. I mean, I've just been trying to keep track of everything you guys have going on. I know you just celebrated the 5th anniversary of the Black Bourbon Society. So for people that are new to what that is, can you talk a little bit about, what the organization is and how it got started?
Yeah, I started Black Bourbon Society about 5 years ago, right? We just celebrated our 5th year on Monday. When I realized that there wasn't a lot of direct consumer marketing geared towards consumers of color. I was working with another brand in Oakland and San Francisco. And, in planning these events and seeing what the audiences look like, I didn't see anyone that looked like me. So I really started to question, where is the diversity? Where is the diversity when it comes to engaging with consumers? And come to find out, there's just not that much at all. So that's when I created Black Bourbon Society to really make a point to the industry that there are consumers of color that love bourbon and want to engage and have a deeper experience with the brands and with the spirits in general.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that for sure. I know I meant to say up top, I completely forgot. I was going to say Happy Pride Month to everyone. But yes, Happy Pride. I was going to say, but that I was going to kind of relate to, I mean, it's a different thing, but I've also, as a gay man, I feel like whiskey isn't marketed to our demographic. It's very much typical straight older white man that gets all the marketing. And so I definitely feel that struggle for sure with seeing you represented. So I think what you're doing is so incredible that you're saying, hey, this is a problem, let's get to the bottom of it. So that's really cool. So what's your background? Before you started that, what were you doing? Were you in the industry or were you not?
I was not in the industry, actually. My degree is in art history.
Okay.
So I worked in museums. I did a lot of fundraising. I kind of branched off from working with museums and went into nonprofit healthcare fundraising for a while. But I had always planned events. And so that was always my side hustle, was planning events, birthday parties, weddings, galas, the whole nine. So that's how I got that opportunity to start planning events with one of the agencies that represents a brand in San Francisco. And that's what our society is, essentially. I think we're twofold. We're maybe threefold, actually. But we started off producing these direct consumer marketing events geared towards consumers of color. And from that, we started to develop our audience. And that is what really led us to having audiences in the Bay Area. Then we started producing events in Atlanta. We picked up an audience there. And really just out of happenstance, out of convenience for me, in order for me to keep up with all these different groups of people we were planning these events for, I threw everyone in a Facebook group. And that's when it grew into 23,000 members from across the country. I
was looking at that today. I was like, oh my gosh, they're huge.
Yeah. But it really just grew out of that convenience. It was like I was tired of writing an email to the Bay Area folks and then turning around and writing it to the Atlanta folks. So it's like, okay, everybody's on Facebook, throw them all in there. And then it grew. So, and now because of that, because we have such a large group, we're able to actually produce events in cities all across the country. So we do events in Chicago, New York, Louisville, of course, Atlanta, DC, the whole nine. So we're all over the place.
I was going to say, I've heard about you guys. I'm, like I said, I'm based in Los Angeles, but our good friend Chris, he's actually Australian, but he does a lot with the Lexington Bourbon Society when he's in the States. So he says he sees a lot of you guys there. That's awesome. I missed something coming. Don Nishida joined the Bite Club. Welcome to the Bite Club, Don Nishida. Thank you for joining. And Don Nishida is joining us from Hawaii. So we have people from all over here. So it's a very, very varied group from across the states. But that's awesome. So you, like I said, you guys just had your 5-year anniversary, which, by the way, congratulations. That's awesome. And you guys, I know you said that May was going to be a really busy month for you, which is why we're doing this in June, because you guys are super busy last month. Can you talk a little bit about, what kind of events you guys have been doing?
Oh, so since the world has opened back up, we have been busy. May, we celebrated our 5th anniversary all month long, and we'll continue to celebrate it the entire year, actually. But really, we filmed a short documentary on the Spirits Network with Maker's Mark, and we documented the process of doing a private selection for them. So we did the barrel pick, and now we're starting to travel all over the country promoting this bottle. So we released 2 barrels through Spirits Network early in May. Both of those sold out in a couple days. We just released another barrel in Louisville. So if you have anyone in the Louisville area, tell them to go over to Westport Wine and Whiskey and pick up a bottle. But
they're texting their friends now.
But then and they ship too. So even if you live in, you're in LA, call up Westport, they'll ship it out to you. I
may have to do that, because I was sad. I was like, I only have one private select. I actually picked up a second one today because it kind of relates to your bottle, only because it's using the new stave, the new French. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Do you know how is it pronounced?
Mondial. It's fancy.
Okay. So so today I grabbed the Los Angeles Lakers released a special edition bottle.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't show up here, but they use 8 of that stave and then 2 of the toasted French spice. So I was like, I don't have your bottle to share with you, but I have something that maybe has some similarity, because I know you used a lot of that in your pick. You mentioned that this.
3.
Oh, what was that?
We used 3 staves, 3 of the Mondial staves in ours.
Very cool. I do actually. So you mentioned that it's on Spirits Network. I actually have a trailer that I'm going to play here for you guys to get a little preview of their barrel pick at Maker's Mark. So check it out.
So what are you looking forward to?
Drinking whiskey.
Welcome back to Maker's Mark.
Hey. It's a whiskey lover's fantasy.
Come on in.
Look at this view.
Where the key to crafting the perfect bourbon is at your fingertips.
All right, guys, are you all ready to play Mad Scientist?
Yeah.
If they taught chemistry, how Maker's Mark sets this up, I would have aced chemistry in high school.
Your very own whiskey recipe, aged to perfection.
Ooh, that's gonna be good.
I can't wait to taste it. And the end result is nothing short of spectacular. I see what you did there.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is Barrel Select.
So cool. I watched the full thing. I watched it earlier today. It was so cool to see. I'd heard about the program, of course, with the different staves, but actually getting to see it, happen real time was so cool. If anyone's curious to watch the full thing, I put the link down in the description below after the stream. Spirits Network, you can join for free. You can watch it there. But it's really, really cool. That seems like such a fun trip. Did you guys have a great time with that?
Oh, we had a ball. We were at Maker's Mark for 2 days, 15-hour days. Just really enjoying the entire experience, getting a chance to see the distillery, walk the grounds, of course, drink all the whiskey we could. It was great. Fantastic.
And now this wasn't your first time there. I believe, was it in 2019 that you guys did a pick with them, and it actually won double gold in the San Francisco Spirits competition?
Yep. Yep. So we actually picked the first one in summer of 2018 and submitted it to San Francisco, and we got double gold.
That's so awesome. I didn't realize that they did like picks to be entered in that. I didn't realize that was a thing, but that's really cool.
So not really, but my husband Armand insisted. He's like, "This is the best bourbon I've ever tasted. I want to submit." He wanted to compete it against everything, and it did. It almost went like to best in show. We got runner up. So it was quite impressive. Of course, Maker's Mark has never received like that high of a recognition. So
there you go. Show them how it's done.
So they are super excited. And again, like, they've been such great partners with us for a few years now that, we've just been replicating those barrels ever since and really talking about the private selection program and how people can create their own custom blend,
So you mentioned your husband Armand loved the first one you guys did. How does he feel about this new one? Does he love it too?
He likes it. Yeah, he loves it too. It's totally different than the first one. The first barrel that we did was sort of like a green apple dipped in caramel. Like it reminds me of those things from the fair, like the hard caramel candies, the caramel dipped apples. That's what it is. That's what the first one tastes. This one is a lot more savory. We reviewed this with our members last week, of course, in celebration of the premiere, and we got a lot of Twix comments. Like, kept saying, "Oh, this reminds me of a Twix." To me, it reminds me of the fancy chocolate mousse from like the St. Regis. It's like super light, super fluffy, decadent. It's got the
my language.
Also like this great like sweet cream, vanilla cream note that's in there too.
That sounds delicious. I wish I had it. Like I said, I have the Los Angeles Lakers one. I'm gonna go ahead and try that one because it's using the new French. Do you not know the word? You said it. I don't know.
Mondial.
And so they actually did they talk a little bit about the difference between when you were at the distillery that and the French mocha that it's replacing, like what the differences are?
Oh, it's a huge difference. So in our first barrel selection that we did, we avoided the mocha stave at all costs. We thought that mocha stave was a dark, heavy chocolate, very drying on the palate, had a lot of tobacco notes in it as well. And it was something that we didn't want in our expression. So our first combination has 0 mocha staves.
Okay.
Whereas this one, of course, has 3 Mondial staves because it's such a lighter, fluffier souffle of a chocolate, like a mousse of a chocolate. It's fancy chocolatier chocolate,
Gotcha.
So it was quite a lot softer. And again, have you ever had a chocolate that has vanilla notes in it? It was like that for us.
Gotcha. Yeah. So so this one uses 8 of those staves in it. So this one, I think to me, I get like a roasted like coffee, like a espresso bean or something kind of note with this one. So it's dark. Now, I mean, this is mostly just using that stave. I know
staves. So that's an overload of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the beauty of doing the private select program is that you get to mix and mash and blend. So I didn't buy this one expecting it to, be the perfect blend. I wanted to see what that new stave was all about. So that's why I picked this one up. Plus, I'm in Los Angeles because it kind of have a Lakers bottle. You gotta do that.
Yeah. Well, so Clifton, I'm originally from Los Angeles, and I was actually supposed to be in LA this week. My son got sick, so we're actually flying in tomorrow. Now we delayed our flight by a couple days, so I will bring you a lovely sample of our expression so that you can do a side-by-side with us versus the LA Lakers.
Oh my gosh, I would love that. That would be so cool. I'm sorry that your son got sick. I'm sorry to hear that, but
it's fine. It's a sign of the times, but he's well and it's not COVID. It's just a summer cold. All is good. We'll be there tomorrow.
Very cool. Well, definitely let's meet up and swap samples. I have some stuff I can share too. So, well, that's awesome. So, man, I saw a question come up here. Well, first of all, shout out to Todd Cooper for joining the Bike Club. Appreciate that, Todd. Our friend Donnie was asking, do you guys have any events coming up in the Memphis area?
No, we don't do a lot of stuff in Tennessee at all. So I do encourage, if you're in Tennessee, come meet us someplace. Either come meet us up in Louisville or come down to Atlanta. But we haven't done a lot of anything in Tennessee, really. Have a strong following there.
Well, with 22,000 people, surely some of them are from Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the society, it's a membership based club. So how do the memberships work, and two, like what do actual members get that join through the website?
Right. So we do have the general Facebook page. That's where all 23,000 of our members live. But there is an opportunity to elevate your experience with Black Bourbon Society and become a premium member. And premium members have their own secret society page. So the conversations are a lot deeper. And those are where the real connections really join in. I have to just pause for a second and say, when I created Black Bourbon Society, I was so focused on proving, the mission of BBS, that we should be more diverse and inclusive, that I forgot that I was also developing community and friends. And so in that going back to the premium membership, that private group is really connected. And you've got folks, traveling to see each other and hang out with each other. They go bottle hunting, a lot of sharing, lots of sharing packages across the highways and byways or whatnot with that group. But beyond that, we do offer discounts. We have a website with merchandise on it, so you get discounts on your merchandise. We plan exclusive trips to Louisville twice a year. So you'll get first dibs on that. Also first dibs on all of our barrel picks. So of course we've done, bottles with Maker's Mark, but we also have barrel picks with Barrel Bourbon. We did a bourbon and a rye with them last year. We're getting ready to do a bourbon that's finished in Pedro Jimenez sherry cask. We've got some other great barrel picks that are coming down the road later in Q3 and Q4. So all those members, they get first dibs on events, trips, bottle picks, all that type of stuff.
That's awesome. I put the link down in the description below. If anyone was considering joining, I got all their info on their website. Like I said, the link below. Our friend Adriana Whiskey Mountain, she asked, where would you like to see you guys doing a pickup next? Is there any distilleries that you guys are currently eyeing that you really want to do a pick at?
I would love to do an Old Forester pick. Old Forester has some great honey barrels. So I would love to do one of those. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is starting to come up on the market as a
that's my dream bottle. I'm seeking that one out real hard and I really want that.
Yeah. So the barrel, so they are offering some barrel picks for those barrel proof bottles. So there's a couple on the horizon for us. I'm just, waiting my turn and putting in my favors here and there. But hopefully soon we'll have, I really would love to do an Old Forester pick. I think they've got some great honey barrels.
Oh yeah, you're aiming for the barrel proof Old Forester. I just happened to grab this right beside me. Yeah,
see?
This stuff,
yeah.
I've had a couple picks of this, and both of them, they're hot, but they are fantastic.
Yeah, tons of flavor. Yep.
Oh yeah,
they're great.
So I guess thinking back to like when you guys when you first started the Black Bourbon Society, have you felt like there's kind of been a shift in the marketing now that you've kind of started, being like, hey, this is an issue? Have you noticed that things are, I guess, getting a bit better than how they were?
Absolutely. It was 2016 when we got started. And just from in the past year alone, we've all seen a major shift societally as it comes to diversity and inclusion. But even before then, the brands really started to kind of wake up a little bit and say, okay, we need to go beyond that general market that you discussed earlier. The middle-aged white male is always going to be their bread and butter of a demographic. But in order for them to keep up with the trends of where society is heading, they really do need to be looking at how to be more inclusive and diverse. And so that is really figuring out how to build genuine relationships with communities of color, also with women, And you're absolutely right with LGBTQI as well. Like there's opportunity for everyone to drink whiskey. And so the brands are starting to catch on to that and kind of get out of that traditional 1950s, 60s way of thinking, and are joining us in the real world here. So.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, everyone likes whiskey. I mean, I think that I saw something, I think it was an interview you did with, it may have been a news station, but they said that African Americans were actually buying like more whiskey, or there's something, I don't remember the exact statistic. I wish I knew it, but it was like there's a sudden surge in the past few years where there's so much, like you wouldn't think that it would be such a high percentage, but it is. Do you know what that statistic is? I probably butchered that, but
when we got started, it was African Americans buy about $1.8 billion worth of wine, spirits, and tobacco. And that is totally over indexing, of what the average spend is for Americans. But African Americans tend to over index in all categories. And that's one of the things that was one of the selling points that I gave to the brands when we got started was, we go hard for everything. We like everything big. We like everything expensive, fancy. Even if we don't have the money to get it, we still want it. So it's like the opportunity is ripe to really cultivate this audience. And really to acknowledge the buying power that, African American consumers have. And I believe, with BBS and the work that we're doing, I want to take a little bit of credit and say we are probably spending more than we should. But at least, we're also having a good time while doing it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's a good point because, I mean, the way that it's done kind of matters too. Like, you don't want to feel like a company is just like pandering to, whatever cause it is. So I think that's an interesting, dynamic. I guess, how would you, in the ideal world, like, okay, you are at a whiskey company and they're like, okay, direct or design an ad for us. What would you want to see, like, ideally?
So I'm a product of the 80s, and I grew up seeing spirits brands exploit communities of color and just really take advantage of it. Typically they will hand a bottle to a rapper and have them rap about it in a jingle and be like, check, we're done with the Black community. And so really what we try to encourage and advocate for really is genuine engagement. Sure. So yes, we are consumers of color. We're different from your middle-aged white guy, but at the end of the day, what we want is a premium product. We want to know what it is. We want to understand how it's made. We want to be able to talk about all those amazing things that make bourbon so unique. And so just genuinely connect with us. It doesn't have to change. The language doesn't have to change. The vernacular doesn't have to change. The venue doesn't necessarily have to change either. It's just really being intentional about reaching out to diverse communities in a way that makes them feel very special to be, acknowledged and included. Now, on top of that, like once you've done that genuine engagement, you can do things that really highlight the uniqueness of different demographics. But, and that's like, right now we've got a campaign that is going to release over the summer where we're doing these direct consumer marketing events in Black-owned bars and restaurants because we want to really highlight some of our community pillar restaurants and bars. And so that's important to show because you want to acknowledge that, there is Black entrepreneurship out there. You want to continue to support these Black-owned businesses, but that's not in a way that panders, that just supports and uplifts. So I think it's just different even in the slightest definition of the words that you use when you're doing your marketing decks. Those things go a really long way in approaching diverse communities.
Absolutely. And I think this is an interesting discussion because I've talked a lot about, I've had a few different, both female master distillers and female brand reps, and talked a little bit about how women, not necessarily that they're coming into the industry, they've always been there, but they're getting recognition for it. And I think I've folks seen that side of things, but not necessarily with the, diversity in terms of, African Americans. Do you know, like, is there a kind of shift in the actual industry at the distilleries where more people are coming into more, I guess, respected positions? I know, of course, everyone knows Uncle Nearest and that story and how, amazing where the Fawn Weaver is doing with that. But I mean, are you seeing a bit more of that across the board, do you think?
I've seen a desire for that to happen. That's going to take a little bit longer to do, though, because those careers and those opportunities to work at distilleries haven't necessarily been exposed to African Americans and to other diverse communities. So we've got to start at the collegiate level almost, and even at the apprenticeship and internship level, and really train up some diverse talent to be able to come into the industry and those type of roles in that capacity. But that work is being done. I know that UK is doing that work. KSU is doing some work around that. We've got initiatives with other HBCUs. Some of the larger brands like Diageo is like earmarking funds to create career opportunities at the HBCU levels. So that work that's not something that's ready to go into now, but seeds are being planted so that 5, 10, 15 years down the road, we really do want to see more diversity when it comes to those key roles like master distiller, even, plant manager, whatever, master taster, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. And Adriana, my friend Whiskey Mountains, we were kind of on the same wavelength of the questions. I guess her different aspect of that is, how do you think the industry is doing right now? Do you think obviously we said earlier, you do think there's more representation, but do you think there's still a long way to go, or how do you see that?
Absolutely. There's totally room to go. And with that being said, that's why my husband and I turned around and we created Diversity Distilled, because when we were working with the brands to help them market to diverse communities like their consumer base, what we realized is that there wasn't a lot of diversity within the brands themselves. So that's why it wasn't a priority for them, because there was nobody internally advocating for diversity when it came to marketing to consumers. So we started Diversity Distilled, and that has the sole mission of looking at recruiting, retention, and promoting diverse talent within the industry itself. Really looking at the corporate structures, looking at the larger brands themselves, and finding entry pathways for diverse talent to come in. How can we take the existing diverse talent that's there and really work to get them the mentorship and the skills they need to move up the ladder and to be in key positions of leadership? So there is a ton of work that needs to be done. The good thing is that the industry is open. I want to say for the most part, right? Like 99.9% is extremely interested and open to the idea of being more inclusive and more diverse.
Yeah, I think and that's, like I said, I haven't really looked at the consumer side of things, so it's interesting to have that conversation. When I asked my Patreon before we did the stream if they had any questions, our friend Fred asked, he said, how can we, I guess he meaning white men, how can we help make the space more open, and how can we lend ourselves and I don't want to say positions, but lend our privilege? Like, how can we help out and bring awareness? Other than just inviting people of color into our spaces, like what else can we do?
Believe it or not, that helps. Just inviting and being more inclusive, inviting them into your spaces, and also join the Black Bourbon Society, be a part of our space. And we have a very diverse audience in BBS too, I should say. But, I realized there was a quote someone said a couple of weeks ago, being an ally isn't enough, be an advocate, so use the power that you have to advocate for someone to come into your space, and then give them the opportunity, if they have the talent and the skills, to suggest them to promote and move up. We always talk about opportunities. Like, if we just had the opportunity, somebody could just open the door for us to be able to get in the room to open the opportunity. Sometimes it's, just step aside and don't block the door.
Gotcha.
If we move from in front of the door, we know how to open it ourselves and kick that bitch in. Like, we know how to get the work that we need to get done. But it's just be an advocate, allow, make room, make space for us to be together, because that's what inclusivity means, right? It's not just, it's all of us included. It's not just, we're here.
Just not just acknowledgement, but inclusion. Absolutely.
Inclusion. Yes. Right.
Our friend Swan says, he works for a large big box spirits company. I don't know if he wants to name it, but he said he's thankful that his company allows them to highlight spirits for underrepresented audiences. Spirits like Uncle Nearest, Bro. I've heard a couple people in the chat have mentioned, is it Bro Brothers? I'm not familiar with them. Are you familiar with them?
Yes, they're a African American distillery, small distillery out of Louisville.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't familiar with that. Okay, awesome.
Yep.
I'll have to check them out for sure. And then he says, and Mount Gay are getting well-deserved attention. I agree. I think that's really, really important. And now I have a new distillery to look up. I always love learning about new distilleries, especially the small craft ones. Yeah,
Bro Brothers is definitely craft. But they're, getting their foot in the door, and it's going to take them a while to get caught up to speed.
Sure.
But they are producing, they do have whiskey on the market. We just got to give them time to grow,
Absolutely. Well, I got to figure it. I have another comment that I want to read, but I had another point I want to get to. So obviously 2020 happened. So how did you guys adapt? Did you guys switch to doing virtual tastings? How did you guys get through it, basically?
We went really internal. We really focused on our members in 2020. So when the world shut down, we of course canceled all of our trips and canceled all of our campaigns. And just really focused on our membership. And we started creating almost daily programming just to keep the members entertained and engaged. Gotcha. A lot of our members were, stuck in their homes, some of them single by themselves. And we really wanted it to become a safe place for folks to be able to kind of just be connected and not stress or worry about what was happening politically, and also, with the pandemic as the numbers started to really rise. So we didn't talk, we made a very conscious decision to not talk politics and to not talk about the pandemic at all in BBS, but just focus on the escape of creating cocktails, meeting with master distillers through our program, Whiskey Weekly. We had a weekly BYOB happy hour, bring your own bourbon happy hour. That was virtual.
Oh, this was so much fun.
And it was just like, that just became the people's lifeline, our members' lifeline. So we focused on that and grew the membership. Our membership actually doubled during the pandemic.
Wow.
Just because it became such this safe place for folks. And, we of course started to do a little bit more virtual campaigns. And as we got adjusted into pandemic living, we started to do some virtual campaigns with brands and continue to market to our audience. But for the most part, we just buckled down and focused on community. And I think that was the best thing ever. Of course, going back to our initial conversation, we were in Louisville last week celebrating our 5th anniversary. And a lot of those members who was with us every single day last year flew in and showed up to meet us in person for the first time last weekend. And it was great. It wasn't like, hi, I'm Samara, nice to meet you. It was like, no, I know exactly who you are. I love you. Like, give me a hug, So it was great to see everybody in the flesh, and that knowing that we survived. We survived together, So.
Absolutely. I honestly, we talk about this a lot on my channel, but I think the whiskey community is one of the best things that happened to me personally, but just, I feel like for a lot of people, it brings people together. We have a common passion for something. And Absolutely. I think that once you have that, you have all you need to make friends. I've met so many incredible people through this. We have also been doing our own virtual, I call it my after party hangout I do after my streams. So I've had far too many pours sometimes, some nights, but it's always a lot of fun on those. But yeah, I think I'm excited to get back to in-person events, of course, but I think I really needed the connections that I was able to get through all of everything going virtual, because my friends are all over. They're not just, here in LA. I'm not even from LA, by the way. I moved here 3 years ago. I'm from South Carolina. So,
Okay.
yeah. If you couldn't tell, my accent's kind of covered up, but I still got some southern twang in me. Audrey, she makes a good point. She said, invite and listen and ask about knowledge and opinions on whiskey, just like we would speak to others. Speaking of which, what's your most common daily sipper? Yeah, what do you like to drink on?
Water most days.
That's very important.
Because we've got so much work coming down the pipeline. We've got to stay sober so we can get these campaigns rolling. But when I do my daily sipper, I have to say is probably Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond. I love that bottle. And then whatever I can get my hands on. My house these days does look like a liquor store. So there's bottles everywhere.
Oh, trust me, that's a normal problem. There's a reason I had it with this green screen.
Yes. So yeah, whatever I'm closest to is what I'm drinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you said Heaven Hill Bottle of Bond. Is this the newer bottle? I guess it's
the
7
blue
year
label. Yeah.
Yes. That's so hard to find. When it first came out, it was everywhere out here. But then now I have trouble finding. I stocked up. I still have 2 backup bottles. I really love that whiskey too.
Yeah.
What about your area in the Atlanta area? Is it pretty easy to find?
So I don't hunt that much these days.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was able to find 2 bottles, and like you said, like I was able to stock up on it, and that's it. But no, I don't go hunting.
See, I don't. Some people go hardcore, which more power to them. I tend to just kind of, if I see something new, I'll pick it up. Especially with the channel, I'm reviewing things constantly. But yeah, I don't do the full hunting thing, but it's a little fun to kind of have little mini hunts every now and then.
He says we're both Heaven Hill fans. I'm So I always say, if people ask me, what's the one brand you could have if like the end of the world, like if you could only have whiskey from one brand, what would it be? Mm-hmm. And it would be Heaven Hill.
Oh, me too. Same. Yeah, and I think to me it's always like a close second because I love Jim Beam too. I think Jim Beam puts out some really good products, but I think Heaven Hill has the most, I guess, wide variety of products. So if I were playing it smart, I'd pick Heaven Hill.
Yeah, you can get everything from Evan Williams bonded, $14.99 to Elijah Craig Barrel Proof or Elijah Craig.
Or the Parker's Heritage LE line.
Heritage. My goodness. Yes, absolutely. Heaven Hill all day.
My friend Perry at This Is My Bourbon podcast, he says we're getting on. Oh, they're getting Bro on their show soon. Very cool.
Great. Yeah.
I need to tune into that for sure because I'm excited to learn more because I feel like I have heard of the name, but I didn't make the connection there. So that's really cool. Adriana says, it's funny how so many have met in these online whiskey communities and meeting in person. It feels like we already know each other and it's not super awkward. I agree. I haven't met a lot of the people here in the chat. Hopefully one day I'll have a Bourbon Bites meetup. We'll see. Probably 2022 if it happens.
Oh, it's the best thing ever. So we do events. We also go on these excursions to Louisville, but we do have our annual meetup called Bourbon Boulay. And that always happens the first Saturday or Labor Day weekend in New Orleans. So, of course, we didn't do it in 2020, and we're going to stay virtual here in 2021. But, we're back to New Orleans for 2022, and it's our national roundup, meetup, whatever you want to call it. And folks really come in for that. And in New Orleans, anything goes.
So I talked to these guys actually recently. I've actually never been to New Orleans, and it's one of the places that's on my bucket list. I gotta go. So that what time of year does that event usually happen?
So Labor Day is September, but
Labor Day weekend. Gotcha.
Look into New Orleans Bourbon Festival. You've got to go to that when they start doing it again, and also Tales of the Cocktail is something you don't want to miss either.
See, I haven't heard of it. I know New Orleans Bourbon Festival. I think that's kind of what I was eyeing. I know they're doing it in August this year. A little too soon for me to plan that, but next year they normally do it around March. So my fingers crossed I can make it next year. Because I want to see New Orleans. I got to see it. It's like one of the cities that I've heard such great things about. I love food. So like the food culture there is amazing. I'm just excited to visit.
I love that city.
So my friend Patrick, he asks Bourbon Noob, he says, I'm not sure if it's been covered, but are non-people of color welcome or encouraged to join the Black Bourbon Society? If so, how can they best contribute to the effort? Good question.
Absolutely. So we are inclusive. Everyone is welcome. As long as you believe in the mission of diversity and inclusion in the spirits industry, you are a member, you are a friend of ours. And just by having your presence there, by having your support, it's already means the world to us. But, just take back the lessons that you learn into your own daily life. How can you be more inclusive? How can you be more friendly with people who may not look like you? Or and then if you're in the spirits industry, definitely advocate for more diversity, more opportunities for diverse talent to rise within the ranks. That's really our only hope and wish.
Yep, and that kind of answers Emily's question. She said, what advice would you give brands and organizations to foster those authentic connections more effectively, especially online first? You kind of mentioned it, but do you have anything else to add? I guess kind of answer her question.
Again, I think it's all about not stereotyping and focusing on education. We had an interesting situation happen where we, invite, brand ambassadors, and we invite, brand owners, master distillers to join us once a week for a Whiskey Weekly to talk about their portfolio. And one brand in particular gave us the lower tier of their SKU to review. And I think I don't want to say factually, but I think they gave us a lower SKU because they didn't think that our audience had the palate for the high for the premium products. They definitely gave us more low proof, sweeter whiskeys.
Gotcha.
And so they fell into this stereotype of what they thought we should be until they realized that our members are collectors and connoisseurs and whiskey nerds, just like everyone else. And we premium spirits. We want to have that discussion about aging and fermentation and distillation and entry proof and all that stuff. And so they were a little blown away, and they had underestimated how amazing Black Bourbon Society was. So I say all that to say it's just treat everyone the same. We're all human beings at the end of the day, we have different shells, but we are all human beings. And so everyone wants, especially in this industry, we all want an opportunity to try the best bourbons on the market. So, just treat us the same. and that'll go a long way.
Oh, absolutely. So since you said your membership doubled in 2020, so what do you see for the future? What do you guys have, any larger events coming up hopefully soon? Or how is it going to shift things? Because you guys were not necessarily small, but doubling is kind of a big deal.
Yeah. I think we'll just continue to grow and grow and grow. We do have some opportunities where we're producing large scale campaigns. We've got this besides the work that we're doing with Maker's Mark and selling the bottles and signing bottles in different cities across the country. We're also producing a 4-part series with Jim Beam focused on African-American bars and restaurants. So we'll be in Atlanta, Chicago, New York, and DC, and plus a huge virtual component of that as well, really highlighting Black excellence in, culinary and in cocktail, the cocktail scene. So we'll have more opportunities like that to really come in, not only as a society, but again, as agency, really producing these opportunities for us to engage new consumers of color.
Very cool. So the Jim Beam series, is that with Spirits Network as well, or is that a separate kind of project?
That's a separate project directly with Beam Centauri.
Gotcha.
And then, I've got a couple more things up my sleeve with the Spirits Network, but I'll have to make you sign an NDA for that.
Well, that's super exciting. I guess we can go ahead and wrap things up, I guess. Is there anything, coming up soon that you want people to know about and, look out for more information on that you guys are doing?
Definitely, just follow us on Instagram at Black Bourbon Society. That's probably the quickest way to find out what we're up to. Again, we've got these bottles from our second barrel selection with Maker's Mark That's for sale at Westport Whiskey and Wine right now. But next week we'll be in New York with more bottles to sign and more events. We'll also be in Tampa and again in Atlanta, signing more barrels for that. And then we'll pick that, we'll have the Jim Beam campaign. Plus, we'll pick up some more Maker's Mark stuff in the fall. And other than that, we're still, Diversity Distilled is really ramping up. We'll be doing a virtual career fair in September with Tales of the Cocktails. And so we really do want to advocate for diversity and inclusion in every single part of this industry, whether you're a consumer or you're trying to get into the industry, or if you're already in the industry looking for pathways to gain more professional development to go up. We want to just have a pulse, our hand on changing the way this industry looks.
That's a great change to make, I think. I mean, speaking as a white dude, but I'm all for inclusion and diversity. I love seeing diversity, like at events. I mean, I'm so excited. Hopefully, thanks to the work that you guys are doing, I start to see more people from different backgrounds show up to whiskey tasting events and New Orleans Bourbon Festival, things like that. So I think it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what America is. Like, it's, we got to make the industry look more like what our country looks like.
Cheers to that. Awesome. Well, I do have one final question I always ask all my guests. So my channel is basically a mix of whiskey reviews and retro gaming. So did you have any games that you either grew up playing or you still play now that kind of bring back fond memories for you?
I played Mario Brothers.
Okay, same.
My husband is a huge Call of Duty fan, so I sit here and I watch him play Call of Duty. But
I'm awful at it, so don't challenge. I'm not going to challenge him. Don't worry.
But yeah, I like Mario. I have small kids, so I got them all like the Mario games for their Nintendo Switches, and I'll try and go in there and play with them. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've always a huge Nintendo fan. I was actually my friend Perry that was in the chat. We were going to do a pre-gaming session of Mario Kart. Timing didn't work out, but y'all stay tuned. That's going to happen soon. Me versus Perry. Which, by the way, for the people in the chat, me versus Perry is very relevant because tomorrow I am competing in Matt Madness, which is our friend ADHD Whiskey is hosting a competition of trying to find the best whiskey taster on whiskey YouTube. So I made it through the first round, moving into the next round. So I'm going against my friend Perry. It's a ton of fun, but it's also extremely challenging. So y'all tune in onto his channel for that tomorrow. It's at same time as my stream, I believe. But double check that on his channel. But well, Samara, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I'm so excited to learn more about the society. I'm so excited to hopefully try that barrel pick.
Yes. And you said that you don't have an Elijah Craig barrel proof?
No, I meant the picks.
Oh, the picks. I was to say, if you don't have one, then
no. Trust me, I buy every batch.
Okay, good. I was like,
yes.
Okay, good. So
no, but those barrel proof picks that are supposedly coming out, man, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. And until next time, this has been Bourbon Bites Whiskey Reviews with the Gaming Twist. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.